The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering in-person and online graduate programs in public policy and data analytics. Admissions now open at umass.edu/SPP. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Ski Sundown in nearby New Hartford, Connecticut, offering bundled lesson packages including rental equipment and lift tickets. Online registration available at skisundown.com. Winter made better.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. It's the March membership drive, and we have a $1 for $1 match this hour until 4, 800-639-8850 or nepm.org. But we'll get to that later in the show. And later in the show, Live Music Friday with one half of the Unlucky Shots and a tale of woe and naming that led them to this point and their new EP that'll be the first under this new name.
But first, let's take a quick temperature of the whole state with the woman currently in charge of its maintenance, the governor.
Like your Barbie mug.
I got this because I dressed up as Weird Barbie one time for the Food Bank March the first time you came.
I love that. So somebody give you a mug?
They found it at a thrift shop and they said,
Yeah.
Monty would like a Barbie
love
mug,
it.
I think. And I drink so much coffee and it's such a big mug that it...
I love it.
We are joined by a woman who needs no introduction.
But we're going to do a quick one anyway.
In November of 2022, Maura Healey was elected as the 73rd governor of the Commonwealth, becoming the first elected female governor of the state, as well as becoming only the third openly LGBT governor in our nation's history.
She is running for a second term this November, and hopefully we'll talk to her again before the campaign is over. But we welcome back to the Fabulous 413 our first guest from our first episode 3 years ago, Her Excellency, which is the actual honorific for governor in Massachusetts, Governor Maura Healey. Hello, Governor.
Hey, it's great to be with you. Great to be in the Fabulous 413.
And we're glad to have you here.
Yeah.
I don't think that I knew the honorific changed depending on the state.
I think it does state to state.
It does, I think,
Yeah.
state to state. And I think in all of our stuff, it was His Excellency.
Well,
Well,
right, so
and
now
yeah.
it's
they
Her
did make the
Excellency.
change.
And they, at the State of the Commonwealth, that is how they introduced you, so
Right.
I thought I would do that. And we are on the left half of the Commonwealth right now, so maybe this is the state of the left half of the Commonwealth. And a lot of press was attributed to the Western Mass office of the governor, so we'll start there and get that out of the way with the arrest of Lamar Cook for alleged cocaine trafficking and firearms charges. We're going to put the legal aspect of that aside. I think what people want to know is, what is the status of the Western Mass office of the governor, and is it functioning at the capacity that it should be to best serve the people of Western Mass?
Absolutely. From the beginning of my administration, I have had Kristen Aleko as director of the Western Mass office. She does a terrific job. She's all over the 413. And in addition to Kristen, we also have Western Mass representation across our secretariats, across the administration. I also created new positions that I think are particularly suited to Western Mass. The Rural Affairs Director, Ann Goby, out of the legislature, came over to help me with that. But, it's a strong office. Kristen's doing a great job. And, it's really important to me. I campaigned for Attorney General first in Western Massachusetts. I think one of my first events was in Longmeadow and then in Northampton.
I remember
the hot chocolate run, maybe.
interviewing you on a different station while running for Attorney General in Northampton
There
at a
you
radio
go.
station.
And so
there.
it's just,
Yeah.
I'm very partial to the 413. All of the counties, which are very different too, as you move from Northern Berkshire to Southern Berkshire to Hamden to Hampshire, Franklin, right? It's all different sensibilities, the different regions. I love the 413. And, I think Kim and I, the last 3 years, have shown a commitment there, making major investments in Western Massachusetts, working closely with the legislative delegation on things, and whether it's on housing or food security, funding for our rural schools, in addition to doubling the funding for public schools generally. RTAs. That's been a big deal, making RTAs free in the 413.
Regional transit authorities, and that's a big issue here. And a lot of money, a lot of people in Western Mass are always worried about their tax dollars and how they're spent on the MBTA, something that they may never use or very, very infrequently. Talk about what you've allocated in this new $62.8 billion budget when it comes to regional transit and how that can be improved in Western Mass.
Well, you hit on regional equity. It is so important that we be a state where our resources are spread across the state. And so that's why we've made a really concerted effort to invest and fund efforts in Western Mass. If you talk about transit, just transit alone, making RTAs free, that's important to people in the 413. The investments we've made in West East Rail, I mean, look at the improvements to Union Station in Springfield.
We can hear it all the time from our offices.
That's good.
It's right
Be careful
there.
what you wish for.
We can also feel it.
Yeah,
when the train
sometimes the
goes
whole
through.
building vibrates. Yeah.
But that's so important. The upgrades to Palmer Station, right? Making these changes is important. The investments that we've made in the municipal bridge program. And I've announced that I want an accelerated bridge program because, you know, so many times we see in Western Mass, we've got bridges that have been out of service for way too long, like years and years. I don't know why, but we got to take care of that, fix those. Think about the drive time that we would save people
Yeah.
from having to go around, these circuitous routes because a bridge is out. So, it's making those investments. It's making the investments in our community college and our other public colleges and universities in Western Massachusetts. We made community college free, which is really important because it's a great way to provide someone with economic mobility for them and their family. All these are ways that I think are particularly important to Western Massachusetts. When I think about the struggles right now that people across Massachusetts are dealing with, Americans are dealing with, high cost of housing, your gas and electric bills through the roof, and high cost of health care, and I'm focused on that as governor every single day, which is why, and maybe we can talk more about that, but we're building 100,000 homes in the state. We're lowering gas and electric bills by bringing more energy supply into the region. And I recently gave discounts back to customers. And on healthcare, I got rid of copays and deductibles for people. I think I'm the first governor in Massachusetts to do that. We also got rid of prior authorizations to make it easier for people to access care. And just last month, I put about $250 million towards healthcare to keep people, 300,000 households who were going to lose their healthcare in Massachusetts because Trump let those ACA subsidies expire. Not going to happen on my watch. So continuing to find ways to take care of and invest in people.
Speaking with Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey.
I want to go back to the education bit of this because education is one of the larger economic sectors of Massachusetts, I feel like. And that educational sector has come under fire under Trump, for sure, almost pointedly. And some of the ways that Massachusetts has innovated to try and get more people, more education, are not getting the funding that or support that they were federally. How does Massachusetts move forward in that way to try and support this sector that is so large amongst the Commonwealth?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. What Donald Trump has done is so harmful to Massachusetts. It's harmful to states around the country, whether it's taking away food from people, taking away vaccines, taking away their health care.
Taking away Dunkin' Donuts?
Trying to take away Dunkin' Donuts. Not on my watch.
You made a statement about that.
From here, we should know
I
better.
know, RFK Jr. should know better than to
Oh
go
my
after
God!
Dunkin'.
Well, yeah, he needs to focus on measles, and taking away measles, actually, and not our coffee. But it's a great point you make. When Trump defunds funding for science and for research, that hurts our public institutions here in Massachusetts. 1 in 10 research and development jobs in the country are in Massachusetts. By the way, they're statewide. And so what I've tried to do is, first off, let's shore up our early ed and our K-12 education funding. We've been able to do that. As I say, under my watch, we have doubled state funding for public education in the state. We've made things like early college available. We've expanded vocational training and career technical training for our high school students. And, that's so important. We need to continue to do that. And we're going to continue to make community college free. But with him taking away the funding and coming after and attacking our colleges and universities, I've said, no, we can't let that happen. I proposed that the legislature provide funding to cover postgrads and doctoral students who are working right now in universities, including University of Massachusetts, Amherst, who are doing incredibly important work, whether it's in the field of life sciences or in climate technology or in other areas. Like, we have got to shore that up. These are jobs, and they're also, part of who we are as a state. We're a state of innovation. We've been a state of creating things from the very beginning. Democracy 250 years ago here in this country, right?
Sounded like a good idea at the time. You know how it's going 250 years later?
We're Massachusetts, and I'm really proud to be governor of this state where we actually respect the Constitution, the rule of law, people's rights, individual liberties and freedoms. We're having to fight back terrible federal administration, but we're not going to change who we are in Massachusetts.
And to that end, your office today just released a press release saying that you are demanding transparency from ICE on arrests in Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
ICE's own data shows the majority of those arrested in Massachusetts have no criminal record. There was a news story earlier this week about a Haitian man who had been living in Massachusetts that was in an ICE detention facility in Arizona who died from an infected tooth. Talk about how your administration is pushing back on ICE in Massachusetts. And I know, as you mentioned in the State of the Commonwealth, keeping citizens here safe from ICE.
ICE is a threat to public safety. We've seen ICE, act here in Massachusetts and in other places, whether they're shooting and killing U.S. citizens or picking up and detaining people who are here lawfully, including U.S. citizens, picking up kids as young as 2 months old, 5 years old, crazy, right? And engaging in all sorts of violations of the law and Constitution, attacking people who are exercising their First Amendment right to record a federal agent and take video. It's so wrong. And that's why I acted as governor. I banned ICE from hospitals, daycare centers, schools, houses of worship, courthouses. Why? Because too many people were afraid to take their kids to school or to go to work or to report a crime or to, go to a doctor's appointment. That is not making us safe. And we looked at the data, right? They said they were going to come after the worst of the worst. They did an initial surge here. And I said, look, I was your former attorney general, right? A prosecutor. I know what it is to go after real bad guys, right? That's not what they've been doing. I mean, we have seen so many instances of people who have been picked up and taken away, families separated, kids, who've lost a mother or father, breadwinner gone from their family because, most all these people are working, paying taxes, contributing to our community and contributing to the economy. And it sickens me. I want an accounting. So in addition to banning ICE from those places, I've also said no state resources, no state assets can be used by ICE. I've also said no other governor can send a National Guard into Massachusetts. And, we're going to continue to support our immigrant organizations and families who are, faced with this terrible situation. And the other day I asked I want an accounting. We don't know. They haven't told us who's been taken from our state and for what reason.
And where they may be taken.
And to where they may be taken. And, we don't know how many kids have been taken. We've got people right now who are going to really fall probably into the care of the state because they've lost their parents, right? This is just so wrong. So, we're going to continue to push back on this. But ICE right now is really a public safety threat here and around the country.
Speaking with Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, we have a listener question.
We do. I'm just going to read it right out. Elizabeth writes, I'm curious about the Sunday Blue laws and wonder if there will ever be a change that says businesses can actually schedule people on Sundays to work, specifically retailers. It's super challenging now that the incentive of time and a half or 1.1 time has been exchanged for the 15 an hour minimum wage to get people to work on Sundays. And her understanding is that the law says if an employee says they don't want to work on Sundays, they can't schedule them to work. Sunday is a big shopping day, so it continues to be challenging.
It's a great question. And it's also like the modern day, right? Like we're an old state. We've got laws that have been on the books hundreds of years sometimes. And it's like we got to catch up with the modern times. It's funny, Massachusetts, we're number one in education, number one in innovation, right? We've also been around a long time, so we have some laws on the books that just don't make sense for today's world, today's economy. We certainly need to support our small businesses. Right now, small businesses are the lifeblood of our communities. And so, ways that we can make it easier for our small businesses. And frankly, just people generally. I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, life's sort of 24/7, right? One day bleeds into the next.
Tell us about
the weekday, the weekend. It's not
I
even
barely know that it's
not
Friday.
even distinguishable. So we got to modernize our laws.
Speaking with Governor Maura Healey, another listener question. Wes Bowser writes, would you please ask Governor Healey how she can support school districts now buckling under health insurance costs and Trump's inflationary disaster of an economy?
Yeah, great question. Such a disaster when Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress cut $1 trillion from health care. That was that one big bad bill this summer. They took $1 trillion out of health care. So what I've done is I recently put $250 million more into health care in our state so that people who had ACA subsidies could continue their health care. We are working hard to support what is a broken healthcare system in America. It's just too hard for people. And that's why I recently established this working group, bringing together providers, your hospitals, your community health centers, insurers, and employers to say, let's figure out a new way. 20 years ago, Massachusetts pioneered universal health care. It was the precursor to the ACA. And it's time for Massachusetts to innovate once again. I've done what I could around getting rid of copays and deductibles, but, we really need to look at new ways to make sure that people can afford health care in Massachusetts and can access health care. I'm also trying to grow the number of primary care providers and mental health providers. If we could have more primary care and easier access to a primary care appointment, if we could have easier access to a mental health therapist, that would take care of a lot of problems, right? Or head off a lot of problems. And so, we've got to grow those ranks, and we've got to drive the cost down. It came up recently for public employees on something called the GIC, their insurance plan. And, I learned that GIC was going to be passing on some of the costs to workers, public workers. And, they just can't afford more right now in their bills, in their premiums, double-digit increases. And again, a lot of this has been terribly exacerbated by what Donald Trump did and what Congress did this summer.
And then on the other side, you have concierge service increasing costs that way, too.
Right.
So it's coming from both ends.
Yep.
I think we have to let the governor go, unfortunately.
Oh.
That means I can't ask her how how the Hunger Task Force went with Monty doing some of the moderating.
I did moderate the listening sessions for the Hunger Task Force, which was an honor and a privilege, and I learned an awful lot about hunger in the Commonwealth, going all over the Commonwealth to these listening sessions.
Monty, I just want to thank you for your leadership and your leadership on the task force. It broke my heart, when Donald Trump cut SNAP benefits this fall, and I just saw people rally. We came out, we did the march.
Yes, you did.
I was with you and Jim McGovern, and it's a great commitment that you do every year. We really saw the importance of our food pantries, of our farmers, too. It's why in my budget, I proposed that our local farms get a tax credit. I mean, they're part of our food security network. They're part of our economy. We've got to help our farmers.
That came up many times in the listening sessions.
Well, and I know that you have been working on recommendations. They'll be to my desk shortly. I look forward to implementing those, right? So that we can continue to fight off hunger in the state. Nobody should go hungry in Massachusetts.
Two best recommendations that I'll give you very quickly. One
Please.
is make sure DTA is well funded because of the, quote, big, beautiful bill. That is going to be Department of Transitional Assistance is the administrative service by which SNAP comes to Massachusetts. And also, let's make food a right in the Constitution. We're a right to shelter state. What if access to food, which human beings need to live, was part of the Massachusetts Constitution? I was so inspired by hearing those ideas from the task force.
Good ideas.
Governor Healy, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for coming to Springfield. I know you're with the Regional Chamber of Commerce there today. And thanks for being our first guest and our current guest on the show.
Well, I hope I can come back sometime.
We're going to have you on and your
by.
challengers for governor, because I got some more questions that are campaign-oriented. We'll boot them down the road.
All right, terrific.
But thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks to Governor Healy's team for organizing that. And if you're curious about the 2027 fiscal year budget that Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll have put forth, a state budget hearing is happening on the UMass Amherst campus next week on March 10th with State Senator Joe Comerford and Representative Lindsay Sabadosa that you can attend or view the live stream of, and we'll link to the live stream in today's show notes.
Coming up, Live Music Friday with the Unlucky Shots, who are celebrating the upcoming release of their new EP. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by GZA Geoenvironmental, an employee-owned environmental consulting firm in Springfield and Syracuse, hiring entry-level to project managers in ecological and civil engineering to share in GZA's future. GZA.com.
Thank Maura Healy for warming the bench for us.
Extremely warm. She has a warmth which lingers. A gubernatorial warmth.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. It's Live Music Friday, and we're with the Unlucky Shots, who are releasing a new EP on the 13th. The Unlucky Shots are a band from Western Massachusetts built around the songwriting of Noam Schatz, a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist who has written a new song every 2 weeks since 2016, a whole 10 years. Yay. Melodic, thoughtful rock rooted in classic songcraft. The songs are catchy and tuneful, yet the lyrics point to deeper meanings and feelings.
Recently, the band changed names after a bit of a kerfuffle that we will explore a bit, but you can see them as the Unlucky Shots on the 20th of March at Luthier's Co-op, on the 27th of March at Progression for the Back Porch Festival, and their new EP lineup is the first with the newish name. We welcome back the people who were in the previously named band, but for the first time under their new name, the Unlucky Shots. Let's start out with a song.
All right, here we go. This is on our new EP. This is one of the oldest songs we play, and I came up with the thought of this song while I was walking in the woods, and I tripped over some brambles on the ground. 1, 2, 3. You got to kill it at the root so it don't grow back a little bit stronger. You got to kill it at the root so it won't grow back a little bit stronger. When symptoms first appear, make sure your scalpel's near. It can be painful, but it must be excised. Evil will lurk about till your defense is down. When it awakens, it's an ugly surprise. You got to kill it at the root so it won't grow back a little bit stronger. You got to kill it at the root so it won't grow back a little bit stronger. Mercy is a big mistake. You never know it till it's too late. You can't be gentle with the venomous kind. The world will roll along, dark forces growing strong. You can save the bundle if you stitch it in time. You got to kill it at the root so it won't grow back a little bit stronger. You got to kill it at the root so it won't grow back a little bit stronger. You got to kill it at the root so it won't grow back a little bit stronger. You got to kill it at the root so it won't grow back a little bit stronger.
It's Live Music Friday
Oh, yeah.
with the
Thank you.
Unlucky Shots
The Unlucky
here
Shots.
in the studio.
That's correct.
There was a Boston Globe article written by our friend Eric Danton last week. Headline, a Northampton band receives a cease and desist letter about their name. Then things got weird. The Lucky Shots, now known as the Unlucky Shots, are just one example of what can happen when two bands share a name.
Yeah, and the funny thing about this article is that in it mentions many other bands that are also called Lucky Shots who don't seem to have been sued in
Yes.
the way that you were.
That's true. There were a handful of bands out there using the name, which is a testament to my
perhaps less than stellar creativity. No, I don't know. It's a good name. What can I say? But there was one band in particular who decided they wanted to be the sole owners of the name. They filed for a trademark, and then they used that trademark to have all of our music taken down off of streaming services. So that was a fun surprise that happened to me last November.
The funny thing about it is that your name is Noam Schatz.
Right.
So could you have changed it from the Lucky Shots
Yes.
to the Lucky Shots, but spelled in your
I could have.
S-C-H-A-T-Z?
But see, one of the things for me is, okay, my name is Noam Schatz, Noamschatz, and I like to say it's the name so nice you got to spell it 3 times.
Yes.
Because it is not a common name, and Anand and Khalees here can testify
Hey.
that, having a unique name is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And
triple-edged.
sometimes
Yes.
sometimes triple-edged, and you do not always want to spell out your name. So for me, one of the reasons why I didn't use my name when I first started doing this project was because I didn't want to have to explain it and how to spell it all the time.
Yeah.
So to me, the name was a nod to my own name and to my philosophical belief about being a lucky person here in the universe. And that was why I didn't want to use my actual name, though it's a homophonically the same.
Were you also worried that you might be pigeonholed as a klezmer band?
I had that thought exactly. From my years of studying down at Wesleyan with Hank Isnetsky got me right in the locker. So
I thought you could change your name to the Lucky Nyack.
the Lucky Nyack.
Yeah,
hey,
because that would solve
Anand
the spelling
Nyack
problem.
is the other musician in the studio.
Well,
here,
the
yes.
truth is, there were a lot of ideas as to how we could change our name. And then Anand here came up with the idea of what if we're just the Unlucky Shots?
Yeah.
And we just laughed. I mean, that's just perfect, right? I mean, a little bit closer truth in advertising
Right.
after this whole situation. So, in fact, I brought you guys here. I know I've given you guys records in the past, but here are our official trademark compliance conversion kits. So,
Two
the-
little
these
letters
in-
that change nothing, yet change everything.
That's
The
right.
Official proprietary Unlucky Shots trademark compliance conversion kit.
Yeah, so for your
That's
LPs,
amazing.
you've
Oh my
got 2
God.
premium vinyl stickers here that you can put on the front. Just says UN. And anybody out there who has contraband, send us a message, and we will send you stickers to make sure that your albums are legally compliant in all 48 contiguous United States.
I think you just need to have a page on your site that says link to Unlucky Shots
know.
contraband, because that is the best marketing campaign
I know.
ever.
I love it. And these are stickers that say on them.
That's
so you
right.
Can
They
change
just
all
say
your
on.
records
So
to
on the Lucky
Unlucky
Shots records, you can change it to Unlucky Shots. So.
Oh, I love this so much.
Yeah.
You were saying the Boston Globe article goes into great detail, and Khalees was mentioning other bands that had the same name, including the Velvet Underground and the Grateful Dead, who were both the Warlocks, which is weird enough because I love one of those bands and really dislike the other.
Okay, we won't guess which one is which.
But what you said, it was even weirder than the Eric Danton Boston Globe story lets on,
Yeah.
without divulging or
Getting yourself
getting
into trouble.
legal trouble with whatever non-disclosures you may have had to sign.
There's sort of 2 stories. There's the first story, which is that another band called the Lucky Shots got the trademark, filed to kick us off of all the sites. I saw that they had the trademark and quickly realized that I didn't want to spend time, money, and energy to battle this. We came up with the alternative name. So be it. We decided to just change it. But no big deal. We'll move forward as the Unlucky Shots. But there's a turn here where in November, I had made a comment about how our music was off streaming services on social media, and Anand made a joke post about the Unlucky Shots. And when I woke up the next day, I saw that he had posted that, and I deleted it. And I said, hey, man, don't put that up yet. We want to keep those cards close to our chest.
Sorry.
But somebody out there that very day went and created a fake band called the Unlucky Shots,
Whoa.
supposedly from Asheville, North Carolina. They created on that day a Facebook page, Instagram page, Bandcamp page, etc., and even also created profiles for a fan of this band and proceeded to then post sort of setting up a dubious history of that band's existence, which included losing all of their equipment and access to their computers in a hurricane last year.
Wow.
And when I went to go change my band's name on Bandcamp, the next day I got an email from somebody who said, hey, I'm in a band called The Unlucky Shots. I don't know, why would you take my band name? And I just started to freak out because I had just been through this whole thing where I had been forced to change my band name by somebody, and I felt absolutely terrible. This guy had a whole story about losing all their stuff in Hurricane Helene and all this other stuff, and being a working middle-aged musician, which resonated with me. And so we emailed back and forth for a couple days, and I just said, there's room in this world for both of us. I don't care. I'd already filed for a trademark at that point, so I was in a position of power, but I said, I don't care. You're in Asheville. Let's do a show together. Come up north next time you come up north. We'll do
Double
a show
unlucky.
together.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me one bit, But then I noticed something strange, which is that there was only one person liking all of this band's posts. And that profile, when I looked at it, was very fishy, to say the least. It had what looked like AI photos, no personal information, no past history. And I said, wait a minute. This guy from the Unlucky Shots, is he so hard up that he made a fake fan to like his own stuff? That's kind of sad, I feel for him, though. It's really hard out there to promote your own music. Maybe this is a technique some people do. I wouldn't do it, but, whatever. But then I started to realize, what if the Unlucky Shots is actually connected to the other band, the Lucky Shots? And I went down a rabbit hole looking at all the photos, the metadata. There's a ton of connections. I can't get into all of it on this short form conversation, but let's just say if there's anybody out there who wants to do a very, very emotionally riveting podcast series that has some really big reveals and turns, this story is so crazy. Eric Danton,
Who wrote the Globe
article, said it's the craziest story he's ever covered. For editorial and space reasons, he didn't feel like he could get into all the details of this, but basically there was what appear to be fake profiles and sock puppets on multiple platforms posting likes for the Lucky Shots and a false history for the Unlucky Shots. So some coordinated effort appears to have been taking place on alignment with the band that challenged us for our name.
Whoa,
Have you
why?
watched The Chair Company?
I haven't watched The Chair Company, but
You should watch it.
yeah.
If you want to go down weird rabbit holes like this is exactly it. And we'll tell Karen Brown, who does the podcast here, who was in the newsroom, maybe this is her next
Yeah,
podcast.
I mean, a Tim Robinson-esque character seems dead on from
fair.
what I'm picturing for how this all went down. Absolutely 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, it's like I don't make this up. I just go to these funerals
I mean,
and the
the-
bodies fall out.
The thing that's crazy
That's a
about it
different show, but yes.
is neither of these bands, no one in any of these bands has a huge following or is like burning up the charts. We play locally. Music is something I do with my friends for my own edification and of the small circle of people around me and the slightly wider circle of Valley music lovers. And it's so outside my way of thinking to go after another band over a band name or something like that. It was a truly bizarre experience to kind of put the pieces together and realize that I think I'm being conned here, and I don't know why.
This is a fascinating story.
For what?
Wow.
I don't know why.
for
They never
why?
asked me for money. In fact, if anything, the fake band asked if they could give me money to buy their website back and all this other stuff, and I was just
Maybe
like,
the Lucky Shots and the Unlucky Shots are just too close for comfort for them, so they set up this. I've seen now I'm down the rabbit
Yes.
hole.
Yeah, right?
If you go to the website, there is a flyer, or on their social media, and there's a flyer for a supposed gig that took place in 2013 in Greensboro with the Unlucky Shots, the Lucky Shots, the real band, and a fake band called the Unlucky Bastards. And somebody made a fake flyer for this, the suspicious fan persona uploaded it to the concert archives online.
Okay.
Then the person from the other Lucky Shots band put it on their website. It's there right now on their website as a gig. But I checked online, and there was a different gig at that venue on that night.
You really have gone
Whoa.
down the rabbit hole.
And the
I'm
other-
loving witnessing this in real time.
Oh, yeah. I have a 55-page document I made with all screen captures and evidence. Because to me, this was
Oh my
just
God, I want to read
mind-blowing.
this. I want to read this.
Maybe we will do this podcast.
Yeah, no,
right.
it is. There is a crazy, crazy whole situation here. And living it in real
Wow.
time was especially just
Disconcerting.
destabilizing. Because
Yes.
I thought I was crazy. I thought I had checked to make sure there was no other Unlucky Shots. I knew there was no band that would give me guff. And then all of a sudden, when I go to change my name, here comes this band out of nowhere.
Like reading a book.
More coming up with the Unlucky Shots as we hear another song and hear more about the new EP lineup, which comes out next Friday, Friday the 13th. An unlucky day for the Unlucky Shots.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Dean's Beans Organic Coffee, a locally based, worker-owned company committed to social and environmental responsibility, roasting fair trade, organic, shade-grown coffee since 1993. DeansBeans.com.
Welcome back. The Unlucky Shots.
On to happier things.
Yes.
Talk about this new EP
Yes.
under the new name and what it means to be, especially after all of this, because you clearly were working on this before you had to do the name change and anything, as the first release with the new name.
Yeah, we recorded these songs at the same time that we recorded our last record, Second Tongue. I went in there with, again, as a guy who does this, I won't say hobby, but a passion. It's not how I make money. So to get into the studio with my band, I wanted to make sure we were getting as much out of it as we could. So we recorded 10 songs. That was going to be that record. And then these 4 songs to be this EP. And we spent so much time working on the record that these 4 songs kind of just sat there for a while. And I was even like, maybe we should just move forward. I'm starting to have, I always have new songs, so maybe we'll just think about forward. And then I played the songs for a friend of mine who's like, no, you really got to finish these. So last fall, actually, when this all happened, we were in the middle of mixing and finishing these songs. So it was really exciting to see them come together. I'm just really proud of these songs and of this band. The guys, we've been playing now for 7 years or so altogether. I mean, with a big COVID break in the middle, but it's just exciting to have these songs. It's a little bit darker, a little bit heavier. It's kind of like side 3 of the record.
Well, let's hear another song from the new old band called The Unlucky Shots.
Who are a
with
real
Noam-
band?
A
Wait.
real band. Featured in
I'm
the
real. I'm
Boston
very
Globe
real,
last week.
everybody. Keeping it real.
Noam Shots and Anna Nyack live in the
This song
Fabulous
is not on
413.
the EP, but it's one of our newer songs. But to me, this really sums up how I've been feeling about all of this stuff. So I felt like I had to play it for you all. This is
Yes.
a
This
exclusive.
is the theme song for the new podcast.
It's a theme song for the Unlucky Shot. See, I still slip up saying it, so give me a couple years to catch up with reality. You can say I'm unlucky. You can call me insane. You can do what you're gonna do. Don't mess with my name. Don't mess with my name. Don't mess with my name. I'm so tired of you messing up my name. I said it twice, guess I'll say it again. It's got a meaning, though I doubt you care. You prefer to stay unaware. Been a freak since my day of birth. An old spirit suddenly unearthed. My mama told me I was heaven sent. I never understood what she meant. You can say I'm unlucky. You can call me insane. You can do what you're gonna do. But don't mess with my name. Don't mess with my name. Don't mess with my name. I'm not even sure what is true. For all I know, you're a puppet too. Window dressing up an empty store. The whole world's different than before. Looked around, the coast was clear. A phantom tragedy just appeared. Some people straight full of spit. miss as funny as the hits. You can say I'm unlucky. You can call me insane. You can do what you're gonna do. Don't mess with my name. Don't mess with my name. Don't mess with my name. I cut through. I saw behind the show. I saw you fighting all alone. It didn't need to be so mean. What a waste of gasoline. All right.
Ooh, I love how it ends like that.
Oh, yeah, leave them
A
hanging.
cliffhanger, because it's the next episode of the podcast that they have to hear about what happened with the name
Who knows?
of the Unlucky Shots.
I like to kind of hope the story's more or less over, but then I find myself once in a while hoping that one of these fake bands is going to post something new again.
Well, maybe they'll hear this, or maybe they'll revive that Boston Globe story from last week, and that is the Unlucky Shots, the newly reminted Unlucky Shots with Noam Schatz and Anand Nayak. This just in, you're being sued by Nyack College.
Damn it!
Oh my
You're
God.
gonna have to change your name as well.
I heard Noam Chomsky's after us too. So.
Well, we don't care as much about him anymore.
Yeah.
Problems of his own. Anand, I'm curious, like what it was like being a part of this, but not necessarily so directed in the search.
Well, I mean, mainly I was concerned for Noam's health.
Yeah, help make sure he
throughout
touches grass
this
every once in a while,
process. But yeah, you know, it was wild. It's wild to, especially like with this supposed band from Asheville, to see someone talking about all this, like how social media is bad and people stealing band names is bad, but the whole thing is like not real. It's very weird. Very weird.
There's a great post. If you go on their social media, there is a kind of funny post where they come on as this other person. Originally, there was Derek who emailed me. And then he comes on and he says, Derek was the one doing our social media. He's the nice one. I'm Matt. I'm not so nice. And he goes on to talk about me and how I stole their name and how I should rot in hell.
Whoa.
This is
But by then, I knew that the jig was up by then. I knew it wasn't real. And I got to tell you, I have never laughed harder in my life than I did when I saw that. It really cracked me up.
Well, you can go to the Boston Globe site and read this whole story from Eric Danton from February 27th about the Lucky Shots having to change their name to the Unlucky Shots, the Northampton-based band. You can look for the forthcoming podcast about the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And
I just
we're
also
gonna
want to
do.
say
Check them out.
one
I
thing.
love
Can I say
yours.
one thing
Yeah.
last? If you are in a creative project out there, if you're a musician, if you've got a small business, find out who owns the trademark to your name. Pick a name that isn't going to cause trouble before you upload your stuff to streaming sites. Spend some money to trademark your name so no one can come up. My songs were all taken down. I had 3 days notice from the first time I heard about it till all my music being vanished. And that absolutely gutted me. So protect yourself, protect your name. It's really, really worth it to do it before a problem arises instead of afterwards.
Are you saying this to me because I know for a fact that there's a Soul Magnets in Baltimore?
I mean, again, as the article says, this is not an uncommon story, but with streaming services, you know, every local scene is now in one local scene.
Right.
Spotify is one location where
Yeah.
people go to find music.
Same thing with Bandcamp.
Same thing with Bandcamp.
Same thing with Kova's any service.
So what was not a problem is now people are bumping into each other as this becomes the way that everybody accesses music.
A cautionary tale from the Northampton-based band, the Unlucky Shots.
And we still love making music, so come to our show at
Yes,
Luthier's.
Luthier's Co-op on the
Next
20th,
week.
Back Porch Festival on the 27th. The new
That's
EP
right.
comes out on Friday the 13th. Noam Schatz and Anand Nayak in the studio. Thank you for sharing your story and your music.
A pleasure.
Also grab their new EP on Bandcamp because it's Bandcamp Friday.
Next Friday is when it comes out. Next week on the show, you can save your seeds with Grow Food Northampton. We'll tell you where and when.
And meet our next Mayor of the Month, Salem Derby from East Hampton.
A rundown of this year's Back Porch Festival with Jim Olson.
And talk music with Sunny Singh and theater with the cast of Enchanting April. I'm Khalees Smith.
I'm Monty Belmonte. We'll see you in 1 minute when we pitch for you on the Fabulous 413.